about that and get training in it. But that would be part of your practice plan. You think, okay, what are areas of interest of mine? What are some things I can learn about? What are the needs in the community? You know, even doing some of that market research to find out, well, there's a need here that's not being met. If I can go get this training, which costs some money, and then I have that training, I can start providing that. That money I'm spending is this much, but the payoff is this much. That's just an investment in my business and my practice. And then a marketing plan will include creating your own website, but basically the home page of the website, which shows the look of it and the links you would have and what kinds of documents you might have there, your stationery, your letterhead, your business card, and you actually, there's a simple way, I'll show everyone how to, it takes a class how to do that, but you actually design all that. And the last two classes, everyone shows their marketing plan and shows their website. And their students are very creative and come up with really cool website ideas. And depending on the population you're marketing your services to and the type of services you're providing, your website could have a very different look. So some could have a serene beach look, or some would be something very different. So in terms of some other things here, so some specific things that will happen here in this course. So one thing will be, what does it mean to be an independent practitioner, to be in practice? There's a certain mindset, there's a certain way of seeing yourself that does involve being a business person and understanding what goes into being a business person. You know, what is the way I have to approach my work? Because if you're an employee, a salaried employee at a hospital or a clinic or an agency, it's a different mindset. You know, they just say, here's your work, here's your office, get to work. You do the work you do. You're not actually running a business or promoting and building a business. So it's a different approach. And learning how to do that is something we'll talk about. And there's a lot of focus on money. And it's not so much a focus on, here's how much I make, or here's how much you can make, but actually getting comfortable with the idea of people paying you for the services that you provide, and learning how to negotiate fees, how to negotiate contracts about money, how to collect your fees. There are many experienced professionals who will never discuss money issues with their clients. You know, if the client says, okay, so how much is it? Oh, well, they'll take care of that at the front desk. They just don't want to get into that. But what if you have a client who doesn't show up for their appointment or just cancels at the last minute? If that's something you can bill them for, well, you have to have a policy on that, and it has to be part of the informed consent, part of your business contract, financial arrangement contract with them. And does insurance cover that? I mean, there might be certain fees they're responsible for that insurance doesn't cover. So in my practice, I have a 24-hour cancellation policy. And in their informed consent, in the business contract, and at the bottom of the super bill receipt they get at the end of every session has that, it even has it on the back of my business, the bottom of the business card, where they have on one side is like their appointments written. It has this policy that appointments missed or canceled with less than 24-hour notice are subject to billing the full fee. And please note that typically insurance does not cover that. They only cover services actually provided. So I recently had a patient who missed their appointment with me. And my options were call them up and tell them, you know, yell at them basically, you missed the appointment, you better send me your money right away. Or I can send them a bill in the mail. Or I can do other things. And one of the key issues here is you're a business person and you're a clinician. You're also a mental health professional. So even though I have that policy, I don't harass or hassle them. I will wait a little to see if they contact me. If they don't, I'll contact them more out of concern. You know, I hadn't heard from you and you missed our last appointment. I want to see if you're okay or how are things going. If you want to reschedule or schedule a new appointment. And then most frequently they'll bring up, oh, I'm so sorry, I forgot the appointment. I know I owe you for that. I'll pay you for both at the next appointment. And I just thank them very much and we move on. If they don't bring it up, that can be really uncomfortable for us to bring up that topic, because whether you are aware of it right now or not, or might admit it or not, there can be a fear, if I bring this up, they might drop out of treatment. So I better not say anything. Then clinically, what if there's a pattern? What if it keeps happening? Maybe it's not clinically in their best interest for you to let it go. It might be part of a pattern representative of something in their lives. And we made this agreement, we discussed it previously, why am I so uncomfortable I can't bring it up now? So we have to get over that discomfort and address it openly. My policy is I find out for them what happened. So if someone says, oh, I was in a terrible car accident and had to take my child to the emergency room, I'm not going to bill them for that. You know, you're able to use your judgment. And I say, well, of course there's no charge for that. That's clearly an emergency situation. If they say, oh, I totally forgot about the appointment, it slipped my mind, then I say, well, do I want to charge them for that? Because that's now in the category where I would charge. My personal policy is I will remind them of the policy and say, but since this is the first time it's happened, I'm not going to bill you for that. But from this point forward, if it happens again, I will need to bill you for that. Most clients are very appreciative of that. What did that cost me? How much did that cost me?
An hour of your time?
Right. What if I charged $100, $200, it cost me that? What if they dropped out of treatment because I was aggressive or tried enforcing them, making them pay, and they might have stayed another 20 sessions? It cost me a lot more. So yes, there are business aspects, but there's also clinical aspects. And we're providing a service to people that's based upon a relationship. So everything we do has to be consistent with that caring relationship. Yet, somehow we have to figure out how to balance that with being an effective business person. So those can be challenging. And there are times when I still grapple with it. So, for example, raising your fees. You know, if I've been seeing people for a certain, for 4 years straight with the same fee, and my expenses are going up, and I'm like, I don't want to say anything to them because if I raise the fee, then I drop out. Okay, that's my own distorted thinking. I mean, I'm making a prediction based upon no data. And so what if I had my informed consent that every year, at this time, my fee goes up X percent, or every 2 years, or whatever it is, or I give them adequate notice, or I only do it with new clients coming in, but not with my current clients, and just wait till they finish up, and then eventually there's a turnover. But again, there's a lot of money and financial issues we have to get comfortable with. Obviously, there's issues of insurance and managed care, ethics issues, again, learning about all the different models of practice, learning about all the business issues, advertising and marketing, and then the entrepreneurship skills that I mentioned, use of technology and how they fit into running a business, the whole issue of niche practice and diversification, insurances of different sorts, there's malpractice insurance, there are other kinds of insurances if you own a business that you have to know about and have, and then we talked about opening a practice, then running a practice or being successful in running a practice. There's also closing a practice. And those are issues that people have to learn how to do, basically legally and ethically. And then these are the last 2 weeks of these presentations on marketing activities. So, anyone have any questions about this course, this plan for this summer, or any of the things that I've mentioned just in general? Anyone currently have your own private practice? Excellent. So there's that issue about being licensed first. We can talk about that later. It's a very minor detail. That's one of those things that I have to say. That's a step in the right direction. There's still some legal issues in terms of actually being in practice. So, well, wait a second. So that's a good point. So you really don't need to know this stuff until after you graduate, then, because you can't use it now. This is kind of a waste of time. I'm sorry, I wasted your time. How can you use this information now?
When applying for jobs.
Oh, so like to not get taken advantage of?
Sure.
Contract, for example?
Sure, yeah.
That might come in handy. Or does it involve working in managed care insurance or not? Is it an actual job, meaning being an employee, or is it an independent contractor, and knowing the difference? Because Many places will call you an employee, but technically you're an independent contractor based upon the relationship, and that has big tax consequences for both the employer and you. And I don't think you want to get in trouble with the IRS. I'm just guessing that one. But, I mean, again, there's this idea of prevention, knowing these things in advance. So the hope is that this is a course that will be successful in meeting a need that I think many people who are planning to become professional counselors or licensed psychologists will benefit from. The idea of how to establish, start, run, and then close a practice, learning what does it mean to be an entrepreneur, what are the skills that are involved, business skills, dealing with money issues, insurance issues, contracts. There's a lot to it. And reconciling yourself to being this caring, compassionate person, professional, who focuses on therapeutic relationships, and being kind of calculating business person, business owner. They're not inconsistent. They kind of go together. And there's a way of doing it. And until you learn those ways, it can feel uncomfortable, seem, not really reasonable or relevant. How you can do that. So historically, most graduate students don't get any business training. They graduate, they get licensed, and it's like, okay, go start a practice. And it's like, how do you learn? And most of us have learned through just trial and error. And that's not the best way to learn. And so to have actual training in business practices and entrepreneurship can help you learn from other people's experiences and other people's mistakes, so you can then have a plan. And when you graduate, you actually have a marketing plan, a business plan. You can use the ones you make in that course, for example, when you actually go into practice. You just modify them for the situation. You already have the framework, the foundation in place. So I think that could be helpful. So some of you have other classes tonight, if I'm not mistaken. Can I just give you the rest of the night off? Do you think those other faculty would have anything to say about that? No, they won't. I think they're waiting for you now. So, thank you all very much for being here this evening.